Can you see the screen? Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Open Canvas number 4. It's our open podcast slash chat session slash information session slash drawing session. It really is an open canvas because there is no structure to this thing. So we literally just free flow, and we want to thank you for coming out this morning and taking a look. Today's esteemed guest is our own Flash instructor, my very good friend Jomaro Kindred, and yeah, he's here to tell you a little bit about his class. We're going to talk a little bit about his backstory and more. So welcome. I know this is 2 hours early on a Saturday morning, so we appreciate you being here. If you have questions throughout the podcast, or if you want to talk to Jomaro yourself, just raise your hand. There's a raise your hand feature on the attendees list, and we take questions as they come. Like I said, it's completely open, and this is a chance for you to get to know Jomaro and a little bit about the school as well. So welcome. Without further ado, hello, Jomaro.
Hey, what's up, Thomas? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's so good to see you. It's been too damn long. So
it's been a minute. You know, COVID is a thing, man. It divided us all, but now we're coming back together.
Well, some of us moved to Texas too, so that did happen. So that did happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And in doing that, hey, it's not morning for me, but I thank you all for coming this morning. I know it's early on the West Coast, so 10 o'clock. That's an early day. But you know, it's never too early for art, right?
100%. Jomaro, like, you originally were from the East Coast. For like a lot of our guests that don't know, originally was it DC area?
Yeah, DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Lived in all
Right.
three. Yeah. You know, East Coast is a thing. I mean, it's a harder coast to live on for sure. I mean, you got real winters and real seasons, and you know, it's different. I'm an old guy now, so it was kind of crazy back then. But you know, the West Side was nice too. You know, it's easy, great weather, and a lot of art going on there, movies, video games.
Well, I mean,
you know,
you went from like DC. I'm sorry. So you went from like DC, and then you transitioned to Texas, and then I know you came out to California. And I feel like there was, you know, one factor that kind of inspired some of those moves. And what were they, man? Like, I mean, in terms of like your moves, because I know you went from DC to Texas, and I believe it was art.
That move wasn't necessarily about art, but it opened the door for me, to be honest. So like,
Okay.
you know, I was young. I was in my 20s at the time, And I was starting a family. I was actually doing art. I worked in the apparel printing industry for a long time. I was building websites, logos, a lot of graphic design at the time. It was kind of popping back then. And things just got kind of what's going on here?
Oh, I
Make the
made you
presenter
presenter.
okay.
Yeah.
My man, my man. Uh, should I share my screen right now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
snap.
Oh snap. Well, we'll get into this, but let me finish
Yeah.
answering your question here. Yeah. So basically, what it was, just trying to expand. Like, just I was on the East Coast. I wanted, to test the waters, try something new. You know, we have family in Texas, so me and my family moved to unite with them and just kind of get the ball rolling. And while I was there, you know, as your family grows, there's necessities. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Like, you know, the whole freelancing thing at the time wasn't like video game related and film related like it is now. It was like I said, like websites and things like that. And stuff was getting tight. So I figured, hey, I need to just really step out and get a job. Like I need to get in this industry like stat like yesterday. And so my plan was this. At the time, many of the people watching probably won't remember this because it was a long time ago. We used to have this huge kind of like online battle called Dominance War. And
Oh, yeah.
back before social media was hot, like people were on forums, web forums, and these forums would clash artistically, and everyone will watch it. Like the people from Blizzard, Ubisoft, just everyone was like tuned into this. So uh, that was coming up at the same time I was going through this whole I need to step out and get into this industry. So what I did was I put my clients on hold for a month, and I just planned on diving in. Now I was going to do everything I could to get noticed, to get a job, to do what it was, And I remember it like clearly. There was a character design aspect and then like an environment design aspect, right? And
Right.
me, I was kind of leaning more towards the character thing. I believe there was like 12 briefs to choose from, and you're supposed to pick one and like flesh it out throughout the month or however long the competition was. But I did all 12 of them every day. I had a new character fleshed out, turnarounds, concepts, like everything. I just went all in. I didn't sleep. I slept like 2 hours a night. Um, but sometimes that's what you have to do to get out there. You just can't expect people to come to you. You got to put it in their face. And fortunately, it worked. Before the end of the competition, I was hit up by two companies. Honestly, it's been so long now. I forget the one of them. I forget the name now. It was some fantasy game or illustration thing. I forget what it was, but I also got contacted by a company called Nerve Software, which was in Richardson, Texas. They hired me on, brought me in, and my first job in the industry was working on Call of Duty Black Ops,
Oh, very
and
cool.
I mean that was crazy at the time. Call of Duty's still hot. In fact, I see
Right.
you playing all the time.
Not a little
I
bit. I
see
don't
you
play
in
that
there.
much anymore.
Yeah.
I'm
All
waiting for
right,
the next Modern Warfare, but that's a whole other story. But yeah.
but let me sum it up real quick. So basically, here I'm in Dallas. I'm getting into the game industry, and I got into the game industry in my 30s. So like, it's never too late. There's a possibility of it being too early, but it wasn't too late for me. I got in there, and it was great, man. I went from concept artist to senior concept artist within a year or two, and then I worked on Black Ops 1, 2, 3. We had a game called Burnstar, which was our first mobile game. I don't even know if it's on the Apple Store anymore, but it was our first mobile game. Uh, I'm trying to think of the game that Gearbox did with all the guns. What was that? What is that game called? Anyway, we did some stuff for them too. So we did some freelance work as well as stuff for Call of Duty. But that was a lot of fun. But what was going on at that time was I was really big into playing WoW. So right around that time they released an expansion for WoW called Warlords of Draenor. It was all about orcs, and orcs are just they're badass to me. Like, I mean, I feel like I kind of look like an orc. I mean,
Oh,
that's some people might take that as an insult, but I think they look badass. So anyway,
yeah, you look badass,
I
bro.
was like,
Yeah, you
my man, you
definitely
look
work.
badass too, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So basically, that really inspired me, man. Inspiration is so key for me. Like, I try to find inspiration in almost everything. It keeps me going. Anyway, inspiration at that time was orcs. So, of course, I started doing fan art. I'm playing the game. I'm drawing orcs. I posted it on. Facebook was hot at the time, so that just lets you know how far back this was. And I think he was the chief creative officer at Blizzard, Chris Metzen. Like, well, guess we had mutual friends. Just me being in the industry at the time, he saw the orcs I was drawing. And was like, yo, why don't you work for Blizzard? And I was like, yeah, why don't I work for Blizzard? So, of course, that kind of started that path where I started putting a portfolio together. I wouldn't say marketing. You got to market yourself.
Yeah, I
You
was
got
gonna
to
say
market yourself.
you went pretty far on the
Yeah.
marketing, man. You did something very gutsy that I don't think people would do. And I would liken it to the art world as somebody like FedExing themselves to an art studio. I mean, you basically went all in on literally all in. And I know you started, what was it? I want to work for Blizzard.com, I think it was, or what was the site?
Yeah.
Was that
That's what
it?
it was. I want to
That's what it was.
Blizzard.com. I still have it. I still have it to this day.
Wow.
I just can't let it go. It's part of the history, and
That was,
basically they noticed. I
yeah.
got the gig. What's funny though is I was applying for World of Warcraft, but at the same time, um, they released a game called Hearthstone, which was a card game, a collective card game, and it was cool. I wasn't really into card games. Like I never played Magic or whatever. Um, but you had to. Uh, there was a mount that was released in WoW, and to get the mount, you had to play Hearthstone. So I jumped in Hearthstone to get this mount, and like by nighttime, I'm still playing this game. It's like
Wow.
I only needed to win like 3 games to get them out, but here I am, like 50 games in, and just loving it. So I started doing fan art for this game. I started like, why isn't there a Horde and Alliance card back? So I started, just brainstorming ideas, brainstorm baby. I started brainstorming ideas, to like that I think should be in the game. And while I'm applying for a while, the art director from Hearthstone hits me up and says, "Hey, we'd love for you to work with us." And I'm like, well, I'm already trying to get into Blizzard. And so, they were astounded. He didn't even know about I want to work for Blizzard.com. He went
Wow.
and checked everything else. Does he have I want to work for Riot.com? It was just Blizzard. I was focused. Um, let's dig into this a little bit though. This is important to me. This whole, sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, go ahead. No, just keep on.
So what's dope about this is I got into Blizzard. I mean, to me, when you get into Blizzard, at the time, it's a different environment nowadays. But in Blizzard's heyday, it was like this was it. Like this was the in my mind, it was this is the mountaintop, right? Like this is where you're gonna retire, right? And that's not the case. And what I've noticed is, and throughout my career and throughout my life, is that you kind of reach a peak, you know, and you climb a mountain and you don't know what's on the other side until you kind of get close to the top or to the top of that mountain. So me being at Blizzard, and it was going well. I worked there for about 5 years. I think I was just shy of getting my sword or whatever. They
I
give me
mean,
a sword in
you
5 years.
you started out as a concept artist, and eventually, in that 5 years, you became a lead concept artist, right? I mean, you were senior
Right.
lead.
Well, senior concept artist. I mean, lead wasn't applied on our team like that, but I was definitely a lead. I mean, because I was there from almost launch. And other artists. I mean, like that tribal knowledge is shared. You understand why decisions are made. I mean, so absolutely, yeah. So
But
by the time I go ahead.
no, I was just say as a senior artist, I mean, some of the responsibilities that you were doing on a daily, like, what did a art like a day in the life of a senior artist at Blizzard look like at that time on the Hearthstone team?
So at the time, it was pretty interesting. I mean, by the time I joined, like we had launched. This was like live ops Hearthstone, and it was booming. It was insane. But we had a cadence of releasing an expansion every quarter.
Okay.
So to give you an idea of like that what that quarter looks like, because it kind of affects everything, is because it breaks down our time and the stages. But like early on, of course, we would get an idea for an expansion. They would just toss it loosely to the concept to the art team, and we had to dive in and just kind of flesh things out. Just this blue sky almost with like very loose parameters to kind of define an expansion. Like there's so many of them. I can't even think of all the expansions that we did,
There was a
but
lot.
exploring, there was a lot. There were a lot, and Kobolds and Catacombs. Like you just had to dig in and just go crazy, which was a lot of fun. Of course, all of us artists were creatives. That's what we enjoy, right?
A lot of
Um,
drawing.
but then after, a lot of drawing, a lot of ideation, a lot of back and forth. It's just a cool, fun process. Um, but after that, after you start whittling down, the direction, then you have to think about, what are our boards going to look like? What are our characters going to look like? Let's flesh those out a little bit more. What are our card backs going to look like? I mean, every game is going to be different. I mean, we had different assets for Hearthstone that were pretty unique to that genre at the time. Everything was hand painted. In fact, it was hand painted and it was 3D, but the hand painted materials were projected onto the 3D. It was kind of cutting edge at the time, but it's quite different now. But no, we kind of touched everything. Like I said, the UI was hand painted. Everything was hand painted. So the day in the life of a concept / illustrator on the Hearthstone team, and for me, was to actually come up with the visual direction or help come up with it. Our director, of course, really, sealed the deal, but help promote that and help think of just dope stuff to add to the collection, and make it happen and make it real in game. So, it was cool, man. Go ahead.
When you get to that tip of the mountain, and we can kind of fast forward a little bit, 5 years, because I feel like that's such a huge part of like who you were, that not struggle getting into the industry, because I know you're self-taught, like, you didn't go to an art school, you grind, and I think the term is grussel, grind and hustled all the way
Grind
through
and
it.
hustle, baby.
Grind and
That's
hustle,
right.
and you
That's
you
right.
worked your way up and got to a point where, like you said, you felt like you called your shot. You saw Blizzard, you got the domain name. I mean, you got to that company, you worked your way up, you became a senior artist at that company. And at that point in time, it's like, hey, you could sit there and collect a full suit of armor or whatever you're gonna do with Blizzard, but then a unique opportunity presented itself, and you made a decision. And I remember distinctly, it was like Comic-Con, and we were chopping it up, and you were telling me a little bit
Yeah.
about some of the behind the scenes, and I was like, I was empathetic to you, but I didn't feel too bad because you had a good problem going on. There was literally like a bidding war, and you had to make a decision at that point in time. And so, what
Sure.
prompted you to make the decision to start up with a new startup company, Second Dinner? I mean, that was a bold move, because again, they didn't launch anything. It was a startup. So you left this tried true AAA
Mm.
king, top of the mountain, to go to a startup. And talk about that process and the decisions that prompted you to start a new journey.
I see it definitely. So first of all, um, start let's start where it began with Blizzard, right? And it was when you're in a place like that, you network, you meet people, you grow your network, and then that's kind of what this was about initially. Because I work with Ben Brode, I work with Hamilton. Hamilton is they're both the owners of Second Dinner. And
Ben
Hamilton,
Brode was a
uh,
high up on Hearthstone, correct? He was the
basically like the game designer, like the lead game designer. I think he became like the titles that were crazy. On the design side, whatever. He was up there.
okay.
But of course he kind of elevated too. By the time we left, I forgot what his title was. But it was at the very top. So basically, when Hamilton Chu and Ben Brode peeled off to start this Second Dinner, and having worked with me on Hearthstone, I got the invite. Hey, do you want to come? Work with us? This is a new thing. And when they first reached out to me, like they weren't funded yet, so I had to kind of wait. I'm just like, I'm not gonna. You were right. Like jumping from the secure thing to this startup is a huge jump. So you have to factor those things. I had a family, I had responsibilities.
Right.
But as soon as they got funded, I was down. I mean, like the money was in the bank. They let me know that they're working on a Marvel project. Now, for me, that's where my roots began. Like that's what inspired me to really get into art is reading comics.
Hmm.
That's what I wanted to do before I knew the game industry was a thing. I wanted to draw comic books. I mean, thankfully, I didn't go down that path because not a lot of people read comic books anymore. But it would have gone its own way. Anyway, so yeah, it was a tough decision because you are breaking off from this huge AAA studio and going into the startup, and it presented its own challenges. Like I'll give you an example. So we're gonna go do a Marvel game, cool. We got money in the bank, cool. But like, is it gonna be successful? Like, is it gonna sustain us over the next 5, 10, 15 years? And those are some of those concerns. Some people have more concerns than we did. So again, money in the bank, it was an easier decision. But now you're in a position where you're working on a game that has like a serious pedigree. Like Marvel is a thing, and it looks
Huge.
away and it moves away, and you have to figure out the little challenges inside of that. Like I'll give you an example. So at the time we started, Marvel, there was a lot of cool Marvel games out. They felt kind of similar to me. Like it was kind of hard for me to tell which game was which game and what have you. So one of the first challenges we faced was figuring out how to feel Marvel but feel unique. You know, so challenges like that presented themselves. And over the last 4 years, we just kind of figured it out. We figured out the path we wanted to go on. We figured out the art vision, and we perpetuated it. And that's kind of where we are. I mean, honestly, the decision was it was Marvel, money was in the bank. It was working with people that I knew were about business and about this life and about art and games, and they loved it just as much as I did. So
Sweet.
that's why I made that jump. Yeah.
And when
So
they brought you on board, oh, go ahead.
no, before I go too far, what I was about to say about the mountaintop thing, which kind of led into this, was when I was at Blizzard, I thought it was it until I started climbing up. Okay, concept artist, senior concept artist, lead senior concept artist. Only until I got closer to the top. I wasn't at the top. I was getting closer, but I could see over the rise, right, to the next mountain. And the next mountain was the second dinner opportunity. But I had no idea that existed. So the idea is that just never settle for where you are. Like you should definitely keep climbing, because even if you don't realize it at the time, there's something else. There's always going to be something else. So just definitely keep that in mind. Sorry, go ahead. You were asking me something.
Yeah, no, I think it's a huge point that you make is, sometimes people get a very narrow vision. They get locked in and they have a
Mm.
narrow vision. But I think that, this, after everything is said and done, this is such a huge decision that you made, but it's also potentially life changing because you came on
Sure.
board as like a principal partner, if I'm not mistaken.
Co-founder.
And
Yeah.
also your
Hmm.
position is different. So they brought you on to art direct in this thing, and opposed to being a senior artist. And can you talk about some of the differences between your day-to-day art directing on a project like this and managing a team versus in the trenches doing the drawing? Like how much drawing do you do on the daily basis for your work right now?
Today, not as I did, when we started, because pretty much it was just me out the gate. Uh, let's go back into that change, right?
Yeah.
Um, the cool thing about this situation was when they brought me on, it was initially going to be lead concept artist. They were going to hire an art director, but for me, I saw that as an opportunity to kind of stretch myself, and be uncomfortable. Like it was going to be tough. There was a lot of things I had to learn. But I feel like if you don't stretch yourself, if you don't step out of your comfort zone, then I mean you're gonna become complacent. So it was a huge challenge. And it was straight up. I'm just gonna keep it real with you all. Like they gave me a chance to do that and prove myself. I'm thankful for that. I mean, because not everyone does.
Right.
But thankfully I had the proper uh, situation where I was able to get coaching and just learn at an accelerated pace, and I found that I really enjoyed it because basically the huge difference is creating content for a game versus making sure, like, overseeing the content and the overall vision of a game and making sure it stays consistent and it stays strong and it stays within the parameters that you set, right? And it gets a little more detailed. Like, of course, like you have a team of artists working for you. You want to make sure that they have everything they need, that they're being creative, that they're enjoying the process as much as you are. Like, you know, I'm sure a lot of people have kind of experienced like an art dictator. Like I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to be an art director. And really find and enhance and utilize the talent of the team that we put together. So the idea of actually drawing every day was kind of hard for me, man. It was a struggle. Like I wanted to hold on to everything. I'm like, nah, hey, Black Panther's coming up to draw. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. But hey, meetings all day. I can't do it. So having to learn to delegate, like that was a big thing. Especially things that you feel a way about. Like I wanted
Yeah.
to draw Killmonger. I wanted to draw Black Panther, but I had to delegate it. And but it all that is for a reason. It gave me a chance to watch my team shine, and when my team shines, it just felt great. Even from the shadows, like art directors sometimes they're not really out there. Sometimes they got to move in the background,
Yeah.
which is great because it is very fulfilling, and I had no idea. So um, being able to
Well,
experience that is great. So go ahead.
the parallel, like the teaching, and teaching is very similar to that. Like people are like, they sometimes will attribute, like, hey, I got this skill set, this is from a teacher, but teaching students is very similar to art directing in a sense, because you are watching these students come up, you are watching them, develop, you are seeing that shine, and then when you step away, it's a piece of pride and been like, you help to facilitate that within that individual. And it's a good feeling. And so we're ecstatic to actually have you on board and teaching a flash class coming up. This is a big deal because again, Jomaro is very busy art director. I know he's done workshops in the past, but like actually jumping in and doing like a 5-week flash course where you're breaking down dynamic illustration on a week-to-week basis is really a blessing, especially at that price point. So like, students, if you haven't signed up, this is an opportunity to sign up because there's a couple weeks before the class starts. And what do you plan on doing? If you could just talk through that process a little bit about what the class will look like, overall. What is
So for
dynamic
me,
illustration?
first of all, thanks for that, man. And I got to give you props too, because I'm going to tell you, you said, we talked about the teaching aspect of this, right? And I remember I was firmly in Blizzard. Thomas hit me up. He was like, yo, come teach a workshop. And I was like, nah, I don't do that. I don't teach. I can't do it. Like,
Uh, I
yeah,
remember I
yeah,
bugged you,
yeah,
man. You were
he's
blowing
open.
up on social media, man. So I met you through social media as well. I saw your work,
Yeah,
and again, and I heard your story, and I'm like, man, I got to have this guy come out and do a workshop. And so, yeah, we'll back up a little bit because this is actually how me and Jamaro met, and I did bug
right.
you a lot to do this, and
You did, but I appreciate it
your
because
answer
look, you
was
took me
no in
out.
the first.
It was like, nah, I don't do that, right? Like, but then I thought about it. I was like, hey, don't I do it? Like, this is what I do every day. Like, I can't talk about what I do for a living. I can't. You know what I mean? But
So
honestly, I'm gonna tell you, Thomas. Well, no. Before you go
no,
there,
go
I'm
ahead.
gonna tell you. I gotta let you know something, man. Like, um, like you said, I'm self-taught. Like, I didn't have the experience of going through school and understanding that, like, that dynamic. So when you asked me to do that, I really had to verbalize and document my process, and honestly, it made me understand it on a different level, so and it kind of gave me that initial taste of, oh, this is what it's like sharing what I do, which ultimately, if you think about it, leads into where I'm at now, art direction,
Well,
right? So it was a tie into that for sure.
and I appreciate that, man. And like I said, it was one of those things where I saw it in you. I just I knew that you had that there, and I knew you could look at an artist's work sometimes and you could see, process sketches, you could see things, and there's something there. And teaching is about communication, and it was a 1-day workshop, so I wasn't committing to like having you jump in and do like a full-blown term for something. It was like, okay, a 1-day workshop. And I remember you had told me like at that time, like you just didn't want to speak in front of people. You're like, I don't know, like I don't want
Yeah.
to talk to people and do it. And I bugged you. And you told me, okay, when I do my workshop, I'm gonna do it with you, when I do my first workshop. And I remember that, and I was like, dude, that's stand up. I'll take that, because I know the workshop will happen, whether it happens this year or happens 2 years later. And I'm not gonna lie, I was one day online and I saw like, oh, coming to Brazil, Jomaro Kindred. And I'm like,
Ecuador is Ecuador. I told
yeah,
him no too.
Ecuador. And I was mad. I was like, oh my God, son of a bitch. Like he told me he was gonna do his first workshop with me. And I was pissed off and I was like kind of ranting to like some of my friends. And I think you hit me up
Yeah.
probably within the hour and you were like, hey homie, like you want to do that workshop? Like we better get it going before boom, before Ecuador. And I have so much respect for that because that made you impeccable with your word. We did a workshop. It was a huge workshop, great success. I remember even like you were kind of going through it with me over before before it started, and we kind of ran through it, and I thought it was cool. Like this juggernaut was like nervous, but juggernaut in design. But once you got in there, man, you commanded the floor like it was nobody's business. And I think we did multiple workshops, where I had you
Yeah.
come back out, and even the second time, I think you took the entire guests, I mean, there was 50 people that stuck around after the workshop. And you're like, let's go see Black Panther, and we bought out a bunch of tickets to Black Panther, and we went to the movies afterwards. So I have like personal anecdotes of like why you're one of the best out there in the industry in terms of people and artists. You went out on a limb for me in GDC, saved me from getting mugged and practically raped in the hotel room I was at. Like I was at a
I
really,
remember
really
those days.
horrible hotel room, and I wasn't going to stay because I was afraid of bed bugs, fleas, and the blood stains on the carpet. And that picture was not on the hotel when I booked the hotel for GDC. And stay out of the Tenderloin if you're going over there. Just stay away from that whole area if you're ever going to book for GDC. And I remember, I called you up and you were like, hey, my roommate didn't show up, are you interested in bunking? And you gave up, your personal space for me. And again, I can never thank you enough. And like I always say, like you're my brother from another mother. So I really do appreciate you coming out and doing this flash for us. And again, students jump all over this because it's your opportunity to really learn, from a 5-week intensive shop. And I don't mean to sound like a sales pitch, but I mean this. Like it's just a good opportunity to get to connect and pick Jamaro's brain and see what's inside there for that session.
Well, let's
Speaking
jump
of
in
pick
there. Let's
brains,
jump in there.
well, yeah,
Let me
speaking
jump.
of
You
getting
asked me a
picked,
question. I didn't get a chance to go ahead.
yeah, shit. So there's a question here. It's actually from one of our audience attendants. This comes from Jasmine. She posted in the chat, did you and your family, how did your family and friends react to your career choice? So when you told them you were going to go into art, how did they take that?
There are different stages to that. I can remember. I'll give you a few different examples. Mom being number one, right? Here I am. I'm in my room in the basement. I live in the basement. I live in mom's basement, right? And I'm drawing. I'm drawing. 16, 17 hours a day. Like this is what I'm going to do, mom. She's like, you better have a backup plan. I'm like, nah, this is it. She just wanted me to be safe. That was one. Two, when I had a family and I decided to make the jump from freelance and doing that type of thing and get into the industry, I had nothing but support. Like I'm the type of person. I mean, people they call me impulsive, whatever. If I decide I'm going to do a thing, I'm going to do it. And I don't care how it looks, how much time it takes, how painful it is. I'm going to do it. And so they supported me throughout it. I've got a lot of support with my family. That's been absolutely paramount though. Like I can't imagine if I didn't have that support structure, how I could have done it. Because just think about this, the basics, right? Like here I am drawing for hours. I'm hungry. I'm drawing so much I don't even know that I'm hungry. Here's my wife, and she's like, "Hey, here's dinner. Here's a meal. Just eat something." She's taking care of me while I'm letting myself build this thing. So I had support, and it was super super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. And sometimes the support doesn't come from your family, and it's unfortunate, and you kind of have to go against the grain. I came from a different generation, and I ended up finding my creative path through creative education. But I mean, I
Mm.
always had like family was like, hey, starving artist, like you're never gonna make money doing art, like we'll be supporting you forever. And in a way, some of that did impact me because I didn't go all in. I mean, I was always listening to that little echoing voice, of parents not really believing as art as a career, especially back then. I mean, much older, now it's such a viable industry, but back then it wasn't. There wasn't really entertainment design wasn't even a thing. It was either you were a graphic designer or illustrator or starving artist type of thing. And so it was one of those things where I found my path through education, and so
Mm-hmm.
vicariously living through like artists that I'm helping to educate and being involved in like a design school and just being fortunate to be in art education for over 20 years and seeing this. But I think that sometimes you have to rally around. If you don't have that parental support, then you need to tap into your friends and tap into the online community, and that is at your fingertips now. Before you didn't have that, and now you do have that. There's a question from the chat too. Dennis wants to know, and this is more of a logistics thing, if the class is going to be recorded because it takes time during his work shift. And absolutely they are. How the flash classes work is it's a 5-week, think about it as an interactive workshop. Each week, Jamar will be going through the sketches and stages of, dynamic illustration from, iteration to, polishing up an illustration. I mean, primarily, right? I mean, you could probably add a little bit more of what the class is
I
going to
can.
entail.
Oops. Yeah, some of those things are going to be about. When I say dynamic illustration, so actually, let me go back to. I don't want to leave my little sketch here while I'm secondary logo. I still do
Yeah,
graphic
yeah.
design. Um, so what's important to me, and like coming from a comic background, is using every tool and element you can to like really take your art over the top. Let me grab my Instagram real quick.
Yeah, well,
Let
you
me
do
see.
that.
I'm
I can
kind
answer
of showing you.
Dennis's question. Yes, it'll be recorded. So don't worry, it'll be recorded so you can rewatch the lectures. You have up to 5 days via stream to watch those lectures.
That's what's up. But what I'm going to really discuss is how to uh, rely on your illustrative fundamentals and skill set to rapidly create illustrations and iterate on ideas, like and to really take your pieces to the next level. Like, I mean, like a lot of people are using 3D, which I think is great. I think it's a fantastic tool. Um, you know, uh, but I think it takes time. There's a method there that you don't always have time for. It can become kind of strenuous. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by this. Can you see this?
We can.
Okay, whoops. Um, like illustrations like this, where you know, you have this kind of the horizon line is arced. There's a lot of line work and gestures like really defining the look and feel of this image and the power and impact. I really revolve around line work, but not all. Like you saw the painting I just did for the Marvel Snap Splash. You can still have that incorporated in other ways, but we'll go into those things as well. But how to draw, anatomy that is dynamic and exciting, expressions, hands. There's so many forms of expression. Like what can you do to your image to show movement and motion? Like for example, even the little gritty driblets, like things like that, which suggest motion, like are super helpful. That's really from the comic industry for me. Um, and just really how to also incorporate like different perspectives and stuff to make your pieces just feel more dynamic. Like the camera angles are super important. Uh, how to work within those angles to really get the look and feel of what you want to come across. Because it's cool to have a basic illustration and communicate. Oh, this is the basic idea of the character, but who is the character and what are they doing and what are they powerful? Are they weak? Are they, you can, there's a lot of information you can disseminate to the viewer in a lot of different ways. And a lot of those things hinge on your basic fundamentals, perspective, anatomy, form. There's a lot of that comes together. And I just kind of want to show you my process and how I get my pieces to look like they look. I'll tell you, a little cliff note cheat sheet for me is these are some of my morning sketches here. These are not digital. Sometimes I like to get away from digital and actually touch a piece of paper. Yeah,
Okay.
we
Paper. I don't
break.
even know what that is.
What's that? You don't know what
What is
that is?
paper? Where do you buy
uh,
that?
where do you buy that? You gotta make it, bro. You gotta
Oh,
do it the organic way.
chop some trees down.
uh, but another thing too, man, it's not just that. It's to me, art. The process of making art is what really keeps me going, right? Like I've talked to a lot of artists, a lot of students who kind of lose inspiration and kind of like have dead zones and like they can't figure out what to draw, where to go. You know, I'll kind of share with you how I find inspiration and how I always keep the ball moving forward. Like there's always something you can pull from to energize your work and have it come across in your work. So um, it's going to be super exciting. I'm so looking forward to this 5 week course so I can really dive in and not only share my skills, but my ability to now disseminate the information in a way you can digest it. That's super important because I can throw stuff at you all day, but if you're not eating it, if you're not taking it in, it's just landing. It's not landing where it should. So we'll make sure that happens. But yeah, dynamic illustration is a thing for me. Look, don't laugh at my NFTs. I kind of jumped into the NFT thing early on. Whatever.
Hello,
Uh,
people.
this is my worst NFT ever. But Terry Crews is a cool dude.
Uh,
Like I think
that's
he
funny.
reposted this. My man. Like look at that.
Uh,
Come on. Tech
that's
flex.
hilarious. Flexing.
um, this is a big thing for me too. Like it's tattooed on the back of my hand. Like art is life, right? This is my thing, man. Like well, kind of what I was saying to you. Like you can take experiences in your life uh, and let that influence your work. and vice versa. So yeah, like this was, I mean, just painting. Like when I actually get a chance to just sit down and just push a brush, I don't even care. My approach for this particular piece was very simple. I used one brush, one layer. I just painted it almost like a traditional painting. I didn't, and it was fun. It was fun to actually face those challenges and not have the security blanket of additional layers. Um, I also have that tattoo. I'm around out of space on. So yeah, it's this I love. See, this is my thing. Like line sketching, like this type of stuff, all day long. Like this is just
Yeah.
what I enjoy. Whoops, sorry. Whoops, there it is again. Shoes, I love shoes.
You love your
I
shoes.
like fashion too. Hey, it goes into everything, Like so I have my own project that I'm definitely gonna get back into as soon as I can. But it is a comic project called Simple City. It revolves around this character, Mr. Thick, who is this bear. You see in the back of him here. I don't know if you can see the other character. There's a character landing a little further down the street here, who's on fire, and she's igniting everything around her. And this is an example of how, like being in LA, like I lived in like downtown LA, and how your environment can inspire your creativity. There's something about palm trees and night that always stuck with me. I don't know if you all have ever seen any Michael Mann films, but like Collateral and Miami Vice. He does this thing where he shoots at night, and he's still able to like show LA for what it is and Miami for what it is. And so that's been an inspiration for me. Like there's a lot of inspiration that comes together in things like this. But you know, when I say dynamic illustration, you can look at this piece and uh, it's pretty damn dynamic. Like I mean, the horizon line is art. The trees are curving in. It's framed in a way that brings you back into what's important. The fire that's exploding out is being showcased. I mean, even the in the street, the circular line work to help suggest motion and establish that plane, is super important, and that is art. Like everything is exciting here. The line work is just almost spontaneous. Just being able to tap into like those things and not be so structured. Like so many people are so structured, and that impacts your work and makes it feel stale and tight. You want to kind of like release it and make it and just go with it. It's scary though. Like I'll give you an example. Like one of my favorite artists is Kim Jung Chung Gi. And he just goes. Like he doesn't think twice about it. He just does it. And he might draw something that, I mean, it could be offensive, whatever. It could just be abstract. A person with a tiger head and a mermaid body. It doesn't matter. Like he just goes, and the freedom that can give you is awesome. And then when you can focus it into your everyday work, it's just so much fun. It makes your day to day amazing, basically. Um, so
As you're sharing
let's
this,
see.
I got some questions in the chat too. Serena wants to know what
Sure.
kind of software do you use on the day-to-day in your career now? It's hand drawing, Photoshop, Maya, ZBrush. What do you typically use software-wise?
Photoshop, pretty much for
Photoshop.
me. I, I I use SketchUp, but not for this. I'm going to talk to you about this. I don't know if Thomas is cool with this, but I'm working on another project, which is my art van. So
Oh yeah,
I'm modeling out my van in SketchUp.
I saw a
I
picture. I
can
saw
actually
a
show it to
picture
you.
of your van up there. Yeah, there was. I saw like one on your Instagram. There was one that you scrolled past. I think it was your van, right? Or was that your studio?
Oh, that was my studio, my LA studio.
Yeah, yeah,
This
LA
one you
studio.
mean?
Never mind. No, there was
Yeah,
one
this
that
is
had like
the
some
LA.
bright lights. It has some real
Let's see where we at.
neon. It was up right in
Oh,
there.
no.
Or
Oh, this is here. No, this is in my studio now in Texas.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
nice.
So, thrive. That's my thing now. Like you have to thrive. You have to push through and make sure you're always going for that next mountaintop. Like I was saying, you has to be fruitful. Your movements and your time.
There's like a
Again,
PC cafe,
time.
man. I'd hang out there. That's fun.
I love it, man. Um, no, this is my little van right here. I don't know if it's not gonna work. No, this is me starting to outfit it, but that's it. That's me sitting in my empty van. It's not empty anymore. But what's
Wow.
cool about this is it's kind of what I'm saying is that you can kind of let me go back here. Sorry, you can kind of let the world inspire you. And wow, Instagram is wild style, isn't it? Man, let me go back to my profile here. This little sketch. Anyway, let me grab my van too. I want to talk about this for a little bit because let's see. Don't laugh at my weak SketchUp attempt. This is just me trying to understand the layout of my van. This is supposed to be me drawing. You see my Wacom Cintiq in there.
I love it.
I don't look like this guy. I'm kind of light skinned, but that's kind of scale wise what it looks like. But this is super exciting to me because, like I said, real world life gives me inspiration. So with COVID happening, it sucked, but what it did was it kind of changed our industry. Like where we can work remotely, which means that we have access to artists we didn't have before. We can work from anywhere we want. We have a little bit more flexibility in our work schedule. So for me, again, being impulsive and trying to really take it to the next level, like I'm not just gonna sit in the studio and draw. I'm gonna get a van and I'm gonna go work remotely. Elon Musk is making Starlink. I'll have high speed internet from anywhere in the world. I mean, anywhere in the country, and I think it's worldwide too, of course. But I can't take a van across the ocean. It'd be too expensive.
Or you can ship
But
it.
the fact that I can go up to Cleveland, I can go to LA. I can go to workshops. I can have a workshop out of the van. Like, I can project out of this van onto a
You
wall
can go to the
and people
Grand
can watch
Canyon.
me work. Yeah, exactly. And just work. Open up the back door and just go crazy and just let that
Wow.
inspire you. There's something special about it. Um, so this is my project now to actually really dig in and experience the world. I guarantee you, some of my classes might be from inside this van. So that might be a thing.
So the band's
But
almost getting
it's
done.
always it's almost done. Yeah, like right
Yeah,
now, this morning when we spoke this morning, I was building the sink and putting the refrigerator in.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
so yeah, man, it's a thing. I'm learning a lot too. Comfort zone. Step out of your look. Promise me, stepping out of your comfort zone is scary. But as you see, with me doing it with Thomas early on, it led me down a path I didn't even know existed. You know, Here I am building this thing out. I've never put in electrical work. I've never put in a water system. I've never built a piece of furniture. Like, so I'm learning a lot, and I fail. I failed last night. Like something was not the right length, so I mean I had to rebuild it. It happens. I know measure twice, cut once. But I was excited. But yeah, so definitely that's a huge thing. Were you about to ask me another question from the
Yeah,
peoples?
well, we have the questions that are coming in from the chat, but man, kudos to you, man. That van looks amazing. I love the dynamic of a lot of the work from home happening in studios, and students and professionals being able to work remotely. Brainstorm was very much limited to an LA proximity prior to COVID, but opening up now worldwide, and we have students from all over the place now. Students that aren't necessarily in the LA Metro can now take classes with us. And so having that van life mentality and understanding that nothing can stop you if you want this, and now the doors are open and the resources are there, and I feel like you know that's inspiring to me to see that you're actually out there getting into the wilderness, being such a city dweller, and now being on the road. And I think every time I talk to you, you're like on the road. You'll do these like
Yeah,
wild road trips where you just dip and you're like, I'm gonna go to New Orleans. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll see you in eight
yeah.
days or talk to you in 8 days. And I think it's great, that you have that freedom and that mobility, and then capitalizing on that with that van and that project is hella ambitious, but really, really good. There's another question. Jasmine wants to know if you could give yourself, or what advice would you give your younger self? What would you say? So, advice to your younger
Hmm.
self.
That's interesting. That's interesting. You know what? It's what I just said to you because I waited too long to do it. Like to be brave enough to step out of my comfort zone. It is very uncomfortable. Like willing to be uncomfortable. Like is what I would get. I wish I would have learned that when I was, 10 years old. Actually, I kind of was a little wild when I was 10 years old. But then you get reserved. You care about what people think, and you get anxieties, and you overthink things. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that doesn't serve me well. Like worrying about what people think, and how I care about how they feel. Like, compassion is important, but stepping out of your comfort zone is a device. I mean, advice I would have given myself early on. Like I definitely would have done that, and I wish I would have done it sooner. So it's simple, but that's really what it is.
Awesome. And great advice, step out of your comfort zone. And could you be a little bit more specific about that? I mean, I know you kind of mentioned, Kim Jong-gi kind of jumping in and going for it, on an illustration and kind of pushing you. But like for you, like what are some of the major out of your comfort zones that you're venturing into now? I mean, obviously van life, but like in building things, but like on a as it pertains to your
Art
career.
direction.
What's up?
Yeah, like that was a huge thing. The art direction was a huge
Okay.
out of my comfort zone. Like in fact, where I was at Blizzard was, hey, my art director was like, we want to groom you to become a art director. I was like, that's not what I want to do. I want to create. I want to be in the trenches. Like
Yeah.
that was the comfortable space for me. But actually taking the chance to step out of that to really look at art from a different perspective was stepping out of my comfort zone. I mean, we can get down to the nitty gritty. I don't know how real you want to get in here, but I mean, I step out of my comfort zone. Like you said, I'll get up and I'll travel. Like if it occurs to me that might be something that's gonna enrich me in some way, no matter how scary it is, or even the cost. Like even at cost, like okay, I mean, this is gonna cost me some. That van is stupid expensive. Like I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
like, and it's stretching me again. Stretching when I'm stretched, and I feel like, wow, this is feeling a little uncomfortable, but it's for a reason, I'll always have knowledge gained. Like let's say, it doesn't even work out the way I think it's going to work out. The experience itself is much like the process for art for me. Like I will learn something every time. Like I'll give you an example. I can draw the same character over and over again, 100 times. It'll always be a new experience. There'll always be a different challenge that I'll face every step of the way, and you have to be able to take something from that. So with stepping out of my comfort zone, like and going all in. I mean, and it's just you just have to do it. 'Cause anyway, I'm kind of getting off my head. My brain is going in so many directions right now. I love it.
No, it's okay, man,
Uh,
and this is all making sense, and it's it's definitely inspirational as well. So I feel there's a lot to it. You know, it's it's never easy to break from the norm. I think comfort, we're all creatures of comfort. We like what's familiar, and the unknown is scary, but it's like really no risk, no reward. And
that's it.
yeah, it's really one of those things where you have to either go all in or venture out, and sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. And I think that you said something that's really vital, is that you learn from those failures. It's the
Mm,
experience.
absolutely.
You're learning from those
Hmm.
experiences, and it's not, you don't just learn from successes. You pick up how to do things even on those failures, and so what not to do or what could you have done better. And I think that the more you do that early on in your life and your art career, the better you're going to be to handle adversity and challenges as they come up, be adaptable. Those are all things that are vital. Dennis had a question in the chat. He wants to know if you can go through like a breakdown weekly of what it would be covered. I don't know how formalized it is just yet. I know the information's still coming together for your flash course. We've been kind of talking about that. But do you have like a succinct like weekly breakdown that you could share, or some of the major topics that you're going to cover?
Sure. So, like you said, we're working out the actual schedule, but I'll give you some overall topics that I'm going to touch on. First, it's going to be definitely perspective, like dynamic perspective, and how to best utilize that to create like outstanding environments. It's going to be next one will be revolving around forced perspective and how to pose your characters in a way that feels like they're coming out at you and like they're larger than life. Like I said, my cliff notes for this are going to be kind of like if you kind of want a sneak peek, but the new version is how to draw comics the Marvel way. Like there's so many cool things and tips and directions and fundamentals that will help take your art to the next level. But that was, I think, written in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like everything is different now, and how that has influenced me and how that has changed the way I work. I'll share with you there too.
Well, one of the things
How do you go ahead?
one of the things that you talk about is like weight, in the dynamic illustration. Everything that you draw has like a
Right.
tremendous feel of like movement or weight. Like when you draw these big characters, like you can feel how big they are. When you put it, the Killmonger, Hulkbuster suit, like that feels weighted. Like it's it's you have a good sense of weight
Right.
in all of your work. If it's a female character that you're drawing and you go for that like light and kind of flex feeling to the the big bears that are just monstrous, taking over a scene. And so I know that weight was one of the big ones.
Yeah, weight is a huge thing. I mean, like, and yeah, that is definitely one. Like you said, we're working it out. Like I'm going to really break it down into the 5 week course, and every one of those course, like every element of that course, though, those 5 weeks is going to be a different topic, and it's going to culminate in you being able to create an image, hopefully that is dynamic, it is larger than life. Like for example, this image here, like you said, weight is a thing, motion is a thing. Again, this line work, and it's not going to all be line work. I'm going to kind of approach it from different perspectives, so you can get an idea of that too. That'll be another thing too. How you add like a dynamic appeal to different styles is something that's also important. To me, it comes naturally in line art. But I'm gonna be with you. I'm gonna step out of my comfort zone, and I'm gonna show you how that looks in a more
So this is
illustrative
wild. I'm looking at this image right
capacity.
now. I'm looking at this image right now, and I feel like the bear with the Nipsey shirt on is like walking through the corridor. It's a static image, but I can feel him walking towards us. Even some of the stuff that's like you said, it's like tertiary. It's some of those things, those cracks and the static that's coming off him. It all feels like it gives him like this motion, like he's moving forward, but it's a static illustration. And so I think that there's so much
The
love.
smoke bellowing over his shoulders. Like
Yeah,
yes, it's definitely fulfilling that my desire to make him feel aggressive and like he's in command. The camera angle is kind of, this is an interesting camera angle because it's really midpoint, but you're looking down his feet up at his head. His head is looking down, but you would be looking up at his head. Like you can see the ceiling and the floor simultaneously. It's not a very static angle. If you notice, like everything is kind of bowed and curved. Like even the room he's walking through is almost like fisheye. Because it's kind of bending around his character. Like there's so many tools like that you can use. I mean, compositional, like having dynamic compositions is super important too. Like which that is bringing all those elements together to create these images. Like so you have to think about all these things and until it becomes like second nature to you. Like I had to learn these slowly and just bring them all together. And that's kind of where I am. And that will be the breakdown for you. Like Thomas said, I'm always running around. I just got back from LA. We just announced our game. So finding time to put this together is now. So I think I have what, 2 weeks before we really
it's 2.5, almost 3 weeks, so
longer,
we got some time.
3 weeks. So yeah, we have some time to really make
Flesh it
sure
out.
it's broken down into something you can digest for sure.
Dennis, my whole thing is, man, you won't regret it. So I know you've taken classes with us before, and I think this is one that you're gonna really dig, especially if you're into this type of illustration. So there's that. There's a question from the chat. Is that bear you?
It is absolutely me. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Um, I
Why
mean,
the personification of a big bear? Like, what's the backstory on that?
it's interesting. It's like I hate to kind of peel off of this, but it's kind of like almost like Batman, right? Like something that made it like that scared him is what inspired him, right? Like or this is like my self perception. Like I told you before, I feel like an orc, and orcs feel like this to me. Like they, I could walk into a room and have a smile on my face, but in my head, it's like the image you just saw of Mr. Thick walking into this establishment. The door frames are breaking, and things are like bullet time. Like it's just, I'm a creative person, so that's just how I like to see it expressed. I'm a big guy. I'm
So
not little, so to me, like,
when,
go ahead.
when you walk into the room, you feel like the floor's cracking and like things are falling
I
like
do.
apart and going, all right, cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't step lightly.
That's
I don't
true.
step lightly. I step in, man. I step in, and I want to be there. Touch on a few things like you'll see on my page and some of my older artwork is that I just draw what I enjoy. You know, and I haven't been as active on social media because I've been busy, with this game and a lot of other things. But you know, I've always just drawn what I enjoy. And right now, uh, some people can be like, "Oh, you draw a lot of women." Well, I enjoy drawing women. I enjoy drawing guns. I enjoy drawing Drenai. I mean, not anymore, but this is the painting of Mr. Thick from back in the day. This was inspired by, I don't know if you all are familiar with Dan Levissi, but he did a lot of like the pop culture kind of close-ups of people, like detailed people, detailed characters. And I just really had a fun time with this. You know, uh, again, inspired by life is a person I met on a plane. Um, but yeah, tattoos, all this stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of action on here. Here's another thing. I'm not sure how graphic we can get. Are there rules to this? Just let me know now.
No rules.
Okay, bet. Okay, so this is, where's this whole image? Let me find out. Okay, so this is interesting. So this is the way I think, and I'm going to share some of this stuff with you too. Um, like, so you take this illustration, and once you have this illustration in your head, being able to draw it from any angle and not have to worry about, like reposing a model or whatever is super vital. Like I did this in 10 minutes. Like this is, I think I timed it in here, 15 to 20 minutes, sorry. But it's a quick sketch of the exact same pose, but from a different direction. Because, if you understand the fundamentals of what you're doing, you can do it fast and, you don't have to repose the thing. Because how long would it have taken me to repose that and get the camera right, make sure the, the lens was bending the environment in such a way that supported this, it would have taken a while. But yeah, so like I'll go into this too, like how I actually think through illustrations, and I'll give you like a little sneak peek. It's quite interesting the way I come up with my work is that everything that I think of is like a movie, like it's always it's always in motion. And then what I do is I kind of stop it and I kind of control the camera, like the viewpoint, until I find the angle that I want to move forward with, and then that's what I'll draw. So I think Kim Jong-gi has mentioned that he thinks kind of similarly. He's just way better at it than I am. Like, let's touch on that too, because there's something about repetition in that. Like he does a thing so much, and it's become so a part of who he is that he doesn't have to go the long way around. He can just jump right into it and tap right into what he's thinking and spill it right out onto a piece of paper. Like that is the ultimate in expression to me. And just another side note. This is going to be scary, out of my comfort zone. Thomas, you asked me out of my comfort zone.
Yep.
So my van is white. And what I'm going to do is when I start making videos, illustration videos, I'm going to start getting back into creating tutorial videos wherever I am with my van. And during that, I'm going to draw freehand on my white van, a new illustration, no sketch, no nothing. I'm just going to go crazy. If I mess up, I mess up. You spoke about we kind of touched on failure a little bit. There's something I wanted to say when you said that. I was mentoring a student doing her senior project recently. I told her, I said, I fail 1,000 times every time I draw a picture. Think about how many times you undo, or the hand is not quite right, or the face, the expression isn't really given the expression that you want it to, and how many times you have to redraw it. I mean, technically that's a failure. You set out to do a thing and then come out the way you want it. You have to redo it. So failing 1,000 times is something you should never be afraid of. It'll make you an awesome artist, definitely. So you're about to ask me something?
No, I wasn't. I'm good.
Oh, I thought I heard you. Hey, Koro. You guys, I don't know if you guys know Koro. He's a dope illustrator and painter. So yeah. So, yeah, come on, artist life, baby.
That's
You know
dope.
what it does. Outside those shoes. Anyway, let's.
Still has some
But yeah, any
spiky
more
shoes.
questions in the audience? What's the what? Yeah, I still have those, but I don't wear those anymore, man. Like, give me some Crocs. I don't care. I want to be comfortable. I'm an old man now.
Uh, Tenor, I think it's Tenor Steele wants to know, is that a Detroit hat?
Where?
I think you scrolled past something. It looked like a Detroit hat.
I think you look like you might be wearing a Detroit hat.
Oh, me? Oh, I'm sorry. If you're talking to me, that's no, it's my friend's brand. Unauthorized. It's a friend of mine who does some design work and has a very inspiring story where he had became incarcerated as a youth, and then just through art actually found his path and now does a lot of design work for like Cypress Hill and like Sick Jackin, and he basically,
That's dope.
yeah, like totally art saved his life, and you know, he's got a shop, he does tattoos, and so I rep their brand. I went to high school with him, so I always try to rep brands that are close to me. So no, not Detroit.
Um, and to be truthful, we're going to talk about dynamic illustration, right?
Yeah,
Um, and to me, like this is a pretty almost straight on pseudo static image. It was a concept, but I think that you can also add dynamic elements to your concepts to really to really push them over the top too. Um, Man, I really enjoyed this whole phase of my art. Like, so I was really heavily influenced. You mentioned it earlier about Black Panther when it came out.
yeah,
Like this was my Wakanda Buster concept. Like
yep,
I was like, no, I knew that there was a Hulk Buster, and then Black Panther has his own version of like a Hulk Buster type suit that I think Tony Stark built for. I'm not sure who made it. So I don't my Marvel history chops are not great. They're not crazy. But I figured Killmonger should have his own too. Because he's gonna fight Black Panther. He's got to come with the big suit. But yeah, you can kind of see the influence in all these things right here as well. That kind of like Afro tech was a thing for me at the time. Like a lot of influence there. It was a lot of fun. Here's Shuri. Oh, this is me when I used to work at Blizzard. My desk was insane. Again, having little characters around for inspiration. They're in here too, but they're all larger now. They're just statues as opposed to like these smaller toys. Um, but yeah,
hey, I'm gonna
uh,
answer a question in the chat, and this is for our friend Darrell. Darrell, there's definitely weekly exercises that'll be given out. You know, he is not going to be necessarily, because the flash courses, they don't particularly grade your homework, but they will be saying, yes, this is what we covered this week. This is a topic. Now you guys go and do it. There is a Discord where students will post to the Discord, and they'll do peer-to-peer reviews. So yeah, definitely there will be some exercises for you to take what the lesson was that week and then try to interpret that yourself. And then the goal is to have, you know, a nice community base on that Discord as well amongst you students, and then you guys taking turns going back and critiquing each other's work in the peer-to-peer reviews. And it's been now we've done flash courses for about 3 terms now, and it's been going really well. So I think the more that you guys put into the Discord as a community, the better you're going to get out of that situation. But yeah, definitely to answer your question, yes.
and let me jump out here and say this too. Like, this is just like what Thomas said, but I will hop in the Discord and give feedback. I will do this as well too. I will take some of the illustrations that are done and talk about them, so we can all kind of benefit from, the feedback. Depending on how many people are in the class, right? Like, you can't do them all, but we'll take a few select ones and talk about those pieces and how to push them forward and what they did right. We'll get feedback there. So definitely gonna be involved during the process. Like, Thomas was like, it's 5 weeks. You're busy, but this is important to me. Like making sure the information is getting to you like it should is what you're paying for and is why you're going to be there. And that to me is vital. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And typically the feedback isn't really a part of the class, because sometimes flash classes, the audience can get very big and it's hard to go through that many students. So I think, you know, dependent on the size of the flash class, obviously, if somebody's being generous with their time, like Jomaro is, definitely getting that feedback is also key as well. So that's a bonus for the class right there. Jasmine has a question. She says, after your team finishes a project, are you excited to see it out in the world? Like, what's that like for you?
oh wow, like yeah, it depends. This one was
Depends.
interesting. Um, you know, so when I worked at Blizzard and I worked on, every time we did an expansion, I was excited because I could honestly, when it was done, I could sit back and kind of watch it unfold. Like now that's happening, but I had so much other stuff to do that I don't feel like I get a chance to really appreciate it. Uh, but that's not a bad thing. It's just no, the responsibility of my position suggests that I need to be focused on the next stages. Uh, it's an interesting thing. As you go through your career and you've had that experience, it changes over time. Like there's you find different things that are exciting about it. So me seeing it from the perspective that I'm seeing it now, for my most recent announcement is different than it's ever been, because I'm thinking about my team. I'm thinking about how we move forward. Like, but it's still good. It's still exciting. but it's just I'm thinking about different aspects that I wasn't previously. So just enjoy it as you go through your process and you work on titles or work on animations or whatever the project is. Just enjoy the process of that. It will change as you go through it. So
Cool.
that was a good question though.
And you guys feel free to raise your hands too. Everybody has an opportunity to do that, and then talk live. You can ask your question live, so that way I'm not reading it because I don't read well, and I butcher your comments in the chat.
Oh wait, can we hear them?
I can
Can they
unmute
talk so
them.
we
I
can
can
hear them?
unmute their mic, and they can talk. Yes, I can absolutely do that. So if you raise your hand, you want to ask a question, just click your
Oh yeah,
hand
let's do
raise.
that.
I'll unmute your mic, and you guys can talk. I think
Yeah.
that's
Step
much
out of
more
your comfort
personal.
zone. Ask questions.
I'm just going to unmute people's mics randomly if they don't raise their hand.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Actually, Serena
Don't be
raised her
shy.
hand. So Serena, I'm going to go ahead and unmute your mic. So Serena, when I unmute your mic, you have to unmute your mic as well. I'm going to unmute you and feel free to ask your question, Serena.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Serena?
Hi, I'm doing good. Yeah, I asked the question earlier about like what kind of tools you use and stuff in this process. But I guess I'll also ask which has been your favorite place to work at? I guess like what studio, because I know you mentioned Blizzard and then working in a small indie studio, and I'm not sure like wherever else you've been, so I was kind of wondering what your input on that is.
You're gonna hate my answer. You're gonna absolutely hate my answer. I don't have a favorite. Like just like with art, like the process is what I really like really speaks to me. So every path and every studio was a different experience, and the way I go about it is I just try to consume and utilize as much of that as I can, and it was different every time. So the fact that it was different made it unique and made it its own thing, and they're all the same because they all led me to this place. So I know that's not the answer you wanted. I had a great time at all of them. I can walk you through them really quickly. Nerve Software, when I was working on Black Ops. I mean, to come into the game industry working on one of the biggest games in the world was crazy. Like that was an experience that like not a lot of people have. They usually have to work up to that. So that was something that was wild. But then going over to Blizzard at the time that I did, that too was in itself its own experience, and it was overwhelming to some degree. But it was also something that I knew I wanted. So there's just a lot of different stages to that, and appreciating that path and that journey, I think, is what I've been fortunate enough to be able to do as I go. So I don't have a favorite. Every experience is different. I think that if I went somewhere, I would hate to go backwards. I think that would be a negative experience. Like that I haven't done yet, but that's something I would shy away from, and I would be afraid of to some degree, and not in a good way. Like not stepping out of your comfort zone. Go back, it might feel weird. No, I don't want any experience that I've had before. So
well, when you started with Second Dinner, they were tiny, right? I mean, they were like 3 people, right?
it was 3. I was the 4th. That's right. That's right. It was tiny.
How big is Second Dinner now?
I think we're about 52, something like that. I think I have 6 reports. Our team is like about 12 strong.
And you
But
outsourced as you have outsourced as well, so you have a
I
lot
was
of
just
people at
about to
work.
tell you,
Yeah.
that's a huge chunk of our time. Like so, we outsource. We have over 100 artists that we freelance with, that we work with on an outsource capacity.
Awesome.
Which again is amazing too, because I'm just gonna put it out there because since our game has been announced, you've seen it. But like being a comic fanboy and being able to Bishop is in our game, like the character Bishop, the X-Men Bishop, right? Artist named Wasp Petruccio. I think you put me in touch with him,
I
didn't you?
did put you, yeah. Well, yeah.
Man. You see how that works? You see how the network goes?
Connections.
Thomas knows him. He put me in
Yeah.
touch with him. He did some work for us. He's the person who created Bishop. So to have that person work on our game is just so dope. I mean, we work with a lot of artists.
I didn't know that came through, so I'm just finding out right now that actually came
Yeah.
through. So I feel good that made that
It came
connection.
through.
Oh yeah.
I think Wows wound up doing 6, 8 illustrations for us, something like that. He was one of the early artists we brought on. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, it's been nuts. Yeah, this experience is different, and again, it's exciting because of that. But working with a lot of artists that I grew up like idolizing, and actually being able to art direct that work has been it's been a dream come true, to be honest. You know, like so I never actually worked for Marvel as an illustrator, but to work for I don't work for Marvel, but to work with Marvel in a partnership as an art director on a game, uh, to me is kind of a, I mean, I'm fortunate.
Wow.
I feel fortunate. I feel humble because of it. You know, so
So
that's
is there anybody at Marvel, sorry to cut you off, but is there anybody at Marvel that kind of oversees the designs that you guys are doing right now on the second dinner, or is it like,
absolutely.
okay, so you have to, because I know like working with some projects, I had some friends of mine that were doing stuff with Disney, and like Disney would come in and like
Mhm.
literally like redline things that were off spec, and they were just like everything had to be, you know, designed on spec so hard, and they managed that
So
process.
tight.
So is it the same type of thing with the, you know, the Marvel, or do you guys have some artistic liberties that you can take on certain things?
It's both. It's both. Like you have to think about it, right? Like the Marvel IP is global. It's huge. They have to look over their intellectual property, right? Like they can't let us come bastardize it, you know, and do all kinds of crazy things. But in saying that, they definitely have given us a lot of leeway. We've created leeway. We've created characters that don't exist. We you know I can't tell you some of them now because they haven't been announced, but it definitely gave us an opportunity to kind of stretch the limits a little bit. I mean, where Marvel is going, like with the multiverse and all the Earths the worlds that exist in the
The what
multiverse,
ifs.
you know, that come together, right? Like
Yeah.
there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I don't know if you all know it, but like I don't know what they call them, different Earths, but like there's an Earth that's all comprised of animal characters. Like uh, I think. Uh, I think Captain America is like a dog, like and like pigeon, like Vision is a pigeon, like
What?
it's where Peter Porker comes from, like Peter Porker
Oh,
that was in, yeah,
yeah.
that's his world. Like there's a whole world there.
Uh,
Inside that we've created our own worlds like that don't exist yet.
oh
So
wow.
hopefully they become canon, but um, you
That's
know
wild.
we've had the opportunity to kind of stretch it a little bit. They're awesome to work with too, man. Like um, if you think about it, man, like the amount of work that they've published throughout the history of Marvel that we have access to that they can facilitate for us, and it is incredible. Like
Yeah.
I mean we have Jim Lee's art featured in our game. You know,
Wow.
Todd McFarlane's art featured in our game. You know, we have a lot of these big hitters from back in the day and current. I don't know if you guys know Max Grech. Like he's one of my favorite artists. He's in our game.
Yeah.
I gotta
Awesome.
hit up Kim. Like, yeah, I want Kim Jong-gi to draw all our cards. Like, you
Wow.
know, I gotta reach out. Like, he might be down to do that. So
Yeah, I think I have a artist for you too, and it'd be fun. I'll talk to you offline, but there's somebody I want to throw your way. I think you'd be good too. Um, yeah, he worked at like Marvel for a while, so just a good contact to have. So I'll
that's what's
bring him
up.
up offline.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna unmute your microphone, Jasmine, so you can unmute yourself and ask that question. So here you go, Jasmine.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey,
Hey,
Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, I was wondering who was your role model influencer when you first got in the industry?
Oh wow. There's so many. There's so many. I'll tell you one that just jumped out to me. So when I got to Blizzard, my art director, his name is Ben Thompson. He went on to become creative director at Blizzard. Now he's joined another studio. But he was a huge influence for me, and I'll tell you why. He was a teacher before he got into the game industry, and he kind of opened my eyes up to things I had no idea about. I mean, here I am, 30 something years old. I don't know who Line Decker is. Like, I don't know anything about art history because that wasn't my path, you know. But to work with him and to really understand the way he directed. Again, it was anything but our dictator. It was very much involved, and that taught me a lot. Like it really stuck with me. Like for example, if I approached him with a pivot in a idea, you know, his question is not, he wouldn't shoot it down. He wouldn't be like, well, no, that's not the style. He would ask me why. We would have a discussion, and at the end of that discussion, I would actually understand the answer he was going to give me that he didn't even have to give me. Like that to me was super inspirational. And he also he also led, like when you're an art director, like it's kind of two roles in many respects. Like one is a leadership role and one is a management role. Right? They're two very different things, right? You know, management is, you know, you're taking care of your team, you have to know what's going on. But the leadership role and the way he approached it taught me what to expect from your team and how to expect it and how to get them to perform in a way that's awesome for everybody. Like I wanted to come to work and do awesome work. Like I would follow this guy into war. Like he just had that leadership quality. And, you know, seriously, I would. Like there's just a thing where he was genuine, and I felt like you know he had my best interest at heart. He had the interest of the game at heart, and his artistic perspective was very real and passionate. Like so, to me, I can roll with that. So that was probably my hugest influence to date as my art director on Hearthstone. Yeah.
What was
his work is Ben Thompson.
I'm just writing down all the names you're name dropping.
Sure,
Awesome.
but even after that, like I mean, just the people that I've come up with. Yeah, I always mess his name up because his name is hard. You know, it was Sick Brush was his handle, but Chris Cha, I can never say his last name. What is his last name? You know, he was an art director. He just left. What is that? It's Ubisoft. And he's just an author. There's so many artists. That's what I'm saying. I'm about to say that there's so many people in this industry that inspire me with their tenacity, their dedication to their craft. Like people who we see it every day. Like these people who can post every day and just keep creating and keep creating and keep creating. Like that's phenomenal to me. Thomas is an inspiration to me, man. Like he loves art. Like I'm gonna tell you, man, like he does. Like the reason why I told him I would do a workshop with him because he was so passionate about it. Like he went after me. Like he wants something and he goes for it. Like I gravitate towards people like that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Hope that answers your question. Yeah.
It does. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask another one?
Of course, that's what we're here for.
Do you ever have you ever been like intimidated in some situations that you don't know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Artistically or outside?
And how did you handle it?
Yeah, that's the separation. Artistically or just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
General, I guess.
Oh yeah, let me go into that. Like all the time. Absolutely. I'll tell you one that kind of ties them both together. I forgot what year it was, but it was BlizzCon. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but Blizzard used to do this thing at Anaheim Convention Center. It'd be like 30,000 people there. It would be broadcast on DirecTV. Millions of people will watch it. And I remember that year we were coming out with what was that? It was the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan was the name of that expansion. And the game director at the time asked me he saw I was doing workshops with Thomas and people like that. He's like, oh, you talk in public, you kind of teach sometimes. Like, how do you feel about doing a talk at BlizzCon, like the little side panel talk? I was like, cool, I can do that. That sounds good. 100 people or whatever. Yeah, dope. Well, that kind of evolved into the main stage at BlizzCon right after opening announcements, which is like the scariest thing you can imagine. It's just like 30,000 people in a room, literally, right? And then millions of people watching on TV. And I was scared shitless. Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you to the extent how scared I was. I went to my doctor and I said, doctor, find something wrong with me so I can go back to my my game director and tell him I can't do it. Like I don't have like my heart is gonna fail. Something, something I can go with. I was good. I even went to him. I said, listen, I'm not the right person for this. I can't do this. His name is Jason Chase. That was who our game director was at the time. I remember he was sitting down when I was talking to him. He just looked up. He's so calm. Like I don't know if you've ever met a person who's just always calm. He's like, yes. Jomaro, it's like, you're the right person. You're gonna do great. Come talk to me after you do it. Damn. Like I was like, I gotta do it now. But I'll tell you, he's absolutely right. I was scared more than any time I've ever been scared in my whole life. And after it was done, it changed me. Like
was that the white coat? The scientist?
No, it's totally different. That was totally different. Okay. That was totally different. This was if you look it up, you can find it. You can find Mean Streets of Gadgetzan BlizzCon, or just type in BlizzCon Jomaro or whatever. It might come up. But basically, it changed me. It made me realize that, if you know what you're talking about and you prepare, you'll be fine. It is scary. But it's scared, like that scaredness is like an energy that you can kind of redirect. You know, it can make you nervous, it can make you throw up. Some people get sick, but if you don't ever go through it, you don't know how to redirect it. So if you can imagine talking on a platform that large to then go to a room with 100 people, it seems like a cakewalk. Or it just gives you the tools that helps you do that. I'll give you one more too. That's totally unrelated to art. I'm gonna just put myself out there. I don't know if this show's even salon, but
Do it.
I used to watch Sons of Anarchy, right? Like, it was all about motorcycle clubs. So I'm like, I'm gonna go get a Harley. So okay, I go take the class. I've never ridden a motorcycle my whole life. Day one, it's raining at the class. They don't cancel it unless there's lightning. And here I am on this motorcycle I've never ridden before, thinking I'm about to kill myself, right? And I was ready to leave. I was super scared. It was a 2-day class. I almost didn't go back the second day because I was scared out of my mind. I was ultimately scared that I wouldn't bought a Harley. I rode it like once or twice. It scared me, so I got rid of it and got a little teeny bike and learned on that. But now I'm good. But yeah, that was the thing I had to face my fears too. Like, face your fears. There's certain things I won't do though. I'm not jumping out of an airplane. It's not because I'm afraid. It's just, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, the airplane is perfect. There's no reason for me to jump out of it. Like, it's just a rationality thing. If the airplane was on fire and crashing, I would jump out in a heartbeat. Yeah, so there you go.
And I think he steps out of his comfort zone quite a bit. Like, I dragged him fishing with me, dude. So we went on a boat and went fishing that day, and that was it was fun. Fishing wasn't that great, but it was still a fun trip, man, just to get you out on the ocean. So
it was like it's funny how that can feed. Like, I remember you pulling up those fish. Were they inverted because of the pressure change? Like, what was happening? Their eyes were like bulging.
They were rockfish, so as they come up, their swim bladders and like their eyes kind of bulge because of the pressure, which is crazy because when you send them back down, like if they're too small and you send them back down, all that stuff goes back into place. It seems inhumane, but those fish actually will live and they will survive afterwards. So
That's crazy.
It's pretty crazy, but yeah, I eat them. I'm a pescatarian. I'm gonna eat them. So either which way.
Yeah, that's right. But that stuck with me. Like, even those visuals from seeing that, like, there's something I'll use and something down the line somewhere. So,
I have more
any more questions? Let's go. See, pay attention to Jasmine.
I'm gonna have Jasmine take over the interview. Jasmine's just gonna go.
Yeah, she's getting it in. Like, I love it.
Get your time's worth. Get your money's worth on this free
You
workshop.
sound like the 5th person saying that to me.
Cool.
I was at. Wait, I forgot my question. Wait.
All right, you can't do that. If you're interviewing, you gotta have this question.
No, I got it.
It's all right. You got it. You got it. Came back good.
Yeah. How do you separate work life and social life, and how strict do you feel like you have to be?
That's a very good question. I absolutely do not separate them. Like, they are one and the same for me. But that's just me. Like, some people, it's very important. Depending on how you approach your work. You go to work and you give 120%. When you come home, maybe you just want to relax. But to me, it's just a continuation of what I do. Like, like, honestly, I'll be real. Like, the project that I mentioned about the van is consuming a lot of my time because I'm learning. Learning motivates me. So it doesn't, art, I'm always learning some art. So that's always going to be a source of motivation. But I haven't been able to draw as much as I usually do when I'm not working, but they're one and the same for me. I don't have any separation. So art is life, right? Like, to me, it is literally every day. So, but those people who do need it definitely do it, because some people need that break.
But I feel like
because of burnt. Go ahead.
I feel like you do things though too, like you said, the van, and then you have like there was times when you were gaming. Like, I mean, I'd see you on like Hearthstone or not Hearthstone, like WoW, like when the new expansion comes out, you would jump all over and you'd be playing that for a minute. So
but it's not separation. It's not separation. It's like, look, I play WoW. Look, half the time I play WoW, I would see something, I'd be like, oh, I gotta go paint because that was dope. Like, or I'm building my van so I can go draw wherever I want to. Like, there's a process that's happening that's keeping me away from like actual illustration, but that's going to facilitate it moving forward, or change the experience. You know, like again, like my man Mr. Sullivan in Cleveland, who does these murals. If I could go spend some time with him and see how working with him closely can influence my work, you know, that's going to be an amazing experience. But you got to do the things up front to make that happen, right? To facilitate that. So it's just a slight tangent. It's like a side mission to get back to the mission. You know what I mean? Like to get back to the main mission.
So everything you do, you feel like you do it for your work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Inspiration, chasing inspiration, like for sure. Yeah.
I think we got about 30 minutes left, man. I don't know if you wanted to crash an illustration. I don't mean to put you on blast. 30 minutes.
You want me to draw?
I mean,
draw
draw.
for 30 minutes.
Draw. I mean, we have you know, more questions that roll in. But yeah, man, I love seeing you draw, man.
I mean, you know, sometimes when I'm just sketching like this, it can get kind of crazy. Let me see. I don't even know. Let's go crazy. Let's see. Can you see my screen still?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see. Let me scoot in here. My chair is. You see my Morpheus chair, right? You know, I had to get the Oxyblood Morpheus chair. So usually, let me think of a cool image. Remember I told you like freeze frame here.
Well, you do that. I'm gonna unmute Dennis's microphone. Dennis, you're up.
Let's go.
You have to unmute yourself, Dennis.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah. First question is from time to time, well, actually a lot of the times, I find myself like comparing my work to a lot of people I look up to. There's like one riot artist, I think his name is Nino's Art on Instagram. I really like his work. And there's a bunch of other people like TV Choi, you know, like a lot of the pros. And whenever I look at their work and I like start practicing my stuff, a lot of the times I'm not really satisfied with the outcome, and it's like a bit discouraging. Have you ever felt that, or do you have any tips on like overcoming that?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. I've never experienced it because when I see someone's art that is amazing, it just makes me want to try to go for that thing. So it just gives me inspiration. But I think that I think you have to find what you think is so cool about what they're doing and figure out why they made those decisions and how they go about producing that thing, right? Like so kind of turn it into like almost like it's like an investigation, like break it down into what you really appreciate about their work. And maybe even ask them. I mean, most artists like I know are willing to discuss some of those things with you. But like to beat yourself up about it is like it's saying like I'm not where they are yet. You know, I gotta get there. I'm not happy with where I am. You know, that's okay to do because it's kind of like you're self-evaluating. But in doing that, I think that you should keep it real and figure out where you feel like you're not performing where you need to, and focus on how to get there. Like to me, it gives you the answers that you're looking for. It just takes time to do it, and every path to that might be different. But I think you're already starting right. Is like you're self-evaluating, right? So just go with that aspect of it. Like don't feel it as a negative. Think of it as an opportunity to learn something new, right? And apply that to your work. You know, but some people are like that. Like what motivates people is totally different. Like for me, I mentioned it just a second ago. Like for me, learning motivates me, right? So that's why that would be my approach, right? But for some people, like they're very competitive, and that level of competition helps them push. Like, oh, I'm not that good yet. I'm gonna put in this pencil time until I get just as good. Go, 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 go. You know, I guess the question back to you is it demoralizing when you see it? Is that the thing?
I guess perhaps, yeah. Like especially when no, I have like something in mind, like in my head, of like the way I want to go, and it just ends up going left most of the time.
Oh man, me too. Me too. Look, I promise you, that's not true. There's one time it happened, but 99.9% of the things that I envision in my head, it never comes out that way. it never comes out that way. But if you try to focus on getting to where it feels like you get the feeling and the mood and the idea across, like you communicate the idea, it might have it might feel different for you, instead of trying to reach that thing that you thought it was going to be, And sometimes I've even started working on things that I thought was going to be a thing and became something totally different. I was like, oh damn, like this is an interesting direction to go in, and I just kind of go with it. So yeah, the only time it's funny, we looked at it today. The piece of my character walking into that room was the only piece that ever came out just like I thought about it. I literally I actually have a time lapse on TikTok of me drawing it. It's super sketchy, like I'm rotating the canvas a lot, but you can see I just never stopped drawing. Like I never changed anything. It just was a straight 10 hours drawing, done. Like first time ever, probably the last time. So if you ever want to see it, go to my TikTok. It's at Kindred Concepts.
Okay. Yeah, I think
yeah.
I think it's also one of the things that I struggle with. I get in the habit of like getting this state of analysis paralysis rather than just, going for stuff and like just trying to
That's right.
figure it out. Because when before I even start, I like think like, oh man, I gotta like figure stuff out. It's like it's gonna be hard, you know.
Mm-hmm. Look, if it's
Hey,
not hard, it's not worth doing.
Jomaro said something, earlier that he, fails 1,000 times in a drawing with the undos and changes and whatnot. So I think don't be so harsh on yourself. Looking at what you see from those artists, what you admire about those artists, breaking those down, all key advice, but also what's the roadmap to getting you there? If you're struggling on drawing hands, then, draw a shit ton of hands until
Draw
you get that out of
1,000
your system.
hands. Yeah.
And that's really it's what it breaks down to. And people don't want to hear that. I mean, one time, this is a quick story, but I had a student that was graduating, and he got a lot of notes on his portfolio. This was with another school I was with, and he wanted to be a character artist, and they like ripped him up because they said like his anatomy and his characters were just, it was bad, and he had some fun stylized stuff, but anything that he tried to do with any semblance of anatomy was really bad. And he was very mad after he got like these preliminary notes on his portfolio coming up for his portfolio show. And I had to pull him aside, and I'm like, "Why are you so mad, man? Like, what did they say that offended you?" He's like, "They said I don't know anatomy." And I'm like, "Well, do you feel like you know anatomy?" He's like, "Well, not that great." And I'm like, "Well, why?" He's like, "Because it's hard and I don't like it." And I'm like, "Well, you just answered, you stated your own problem. Like you don't like it. It's hard because you're not good at it, and you're not good at it because you don't practice it enough." And so it's one of these things that if you just have to go at it, and you're going to hit plateaus, you're going to hit roadblocks, and you just got to keep pushing through. But I guarantee if you put a mark down every single day, or if you draw every single day, you will see improvements on your work over time. It's a mileage thing. It really is. And you can grab a 3D software and pose a hand, but you wouldn't be able to draw that into a different angle or come up with it on the fly. So it's really important to address those weaknesses and what's stopping you from being a TV Choi, or what's stopping you from being the right artist that you admire. What are the things in their work that make them pop? Like how do you get there personally from where you're at now, and coming up with a plan to attack that. And it does take some self-evaluation, but just not self-degradation where you're putting yourself down. That's the important thing.
Got you.
That's right.
Jens, did you have another question? Because I know Christopher raised his hand in the chat. He wants to ask a question, so we're going to unmute his mic. Did you have another question?
Oh yeah, this is just one more question. It was just like relates to the class itself. Are we gonna be going over like how to maybe like compose like multiple characters within a shot?
We're going to go over composition as overall.
Okay.
What we go over with overall will inform a multi-person composition. Like composition is composition regardless of, tree, building, person. Like a lot of things can compose a composition. So that's something we can definitely touch on.
Okay. Yeah. That's all the questions I have. Yeah. Thanks for the responses, guys.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Sure.
It's definitely part of the illustration process. I am going to announce that we are going to do a composition flash too coming up sometime soon. It won't be this time around, but maybe in the fall we're going to have a character composition flash. It hasn't been announced yet, not necessarily with Jomaro, but we have another instructor that expressed interest in that. So in the future, composition is something that you'll work on forever. from now until forever. And you'll
Yes.
always think about that and ways to make your scenes more interesting. And it's going to be a more of an art history type of class, but we'll announce that a little bit later on. Christopher, let me go ahead and unmute your mic. You could do the same and ask your question.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, Christopher,
What's up,
welcome.
man?
All right, sweet. So I've been following you for a long time, Jomaro. I've loved your artwork. You've shared
Thanks.
stuff with me in the past, back and forth. Actually, I think when you were doing some of the orc stuff, we talked back and forth about how you were building up your layers and that kind of thing. But here recently, over the last year or two, I've started my own company and started doing stuff, and it's a
Sweet.
lot of freelance work. So I'm looking for more like, what do you think is the most important thing about the freelancing from the business end of it? Because that's
You
the
mean
part
from
to talk about.
so you mean for me interacting with freelancers, or in my experience as a freelancer?
From your experience as being a freelancer, what's the most important part? Because I'm currently in that position, and that's important to me.
Okay, well, something that's really huge, right, is communication. You know, like making sure you communicate with the person that you're working with, and making sure that if you don't know a thing, that you're willing to ask for more detail, for more clarification. That's never a bad thing. That is primarily it. Also, overpromise, underdeliver. You know what I'm saying? Is that how it goes, right? No, underdeliver, whatever.
It's the other way around.
Don't.
Under promise, over
Yeah,
deliver.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Right. But
Don't do it
don't
the other
stretch
way.
yourself thin is what I'm saying. Like don't try to like do a thing in 3 days, you know, if you know it's gonna take you 5 days, like just to try to get a job or whatever. Make sure you're capable of managing the work that you're taking on too. Because last thing you want to do is miss that deadline, because it might have impact outside of your understanding, right? It might be
Oh,
something
yeah.
they're going to use for marketing that's for a specific date. That's super important. Super important.
Yeah, that stuff all rolls
So
downhill.
yeah.
And Christopher,
That's right.
I come
Absolutely.
from the school. I come from the school background. We do have a class. It's another 5-week class of that. It's called Art of Business. It's ran by my co-partner James Pack, who runs Scribblepad Studios in conjunction with being a co-founder of Brainstorm. And he goes quite in depth and in detail on like how to write contracts and how to protect yourself, and
So important.
charging, just things that you need to know as a freelancer, because you could be stuck in iteration hell or revision hell,
Oh,
and you don't want to
yes.
necessarily do that. So you want to make sure that you have
Some of my
clauses to
first
protect yourself.
projects were that way, exactly. Until I started doing some of that stuff, because I ended up having a standard contract that has a certain number of iterations and time frames and stuff for them too, because the more time that you spend working on that is less time I can take on other projects.
Yep, time is money.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Time is money, and you eat up the budget of that project really quick when you break it down. You gotta make sure that you're getting compensated well for your time, effort, your expertise of doing what you're doing. And that's important. Another note on just freelancing I'll give you too is just, work wisely. I know some artists that are really good, and they can, knock out a very polished image in the matter of, an hour, and, but I don't think they build their client accordingly for that, because it took them, 30 years to get to that point of being able to draw that image in an hour. So, you have to take into consideration experience and time and all of those things as you're building your clients accordingly, which is really important. So just don't always do a race for the bottom. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because as you get better at your craft, in general, if you do it by the hourly rate, then eventually you hit a point where you're gimping yourself based on that kind of stuff. And the hourly rate isn't a bad place to start, but it's not where I think you should stay.
Yeah, good. Sound like you're on the right track.
Okay, sweet.
Great questions, Christopher. I'm going to go ahead and unmute Barry's mic next. Barry Brown, good to hear your voice.
Oh, man, what's up, homie?
You got to unmute yourself, Barry.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Yeah, okay. What's up, Barry?
What's going on, man? I'm curious on the class. Are you going to be doing mostly the ink styling, or are you going to go to painting style as well? I'm just curious.
No, I'm gonna switch it up. ink is my comfort zone. I'm going to kind of start with that, but I can show you ways to take that into other styles. It's definitely something I work with now a lot. Like with what I'm doing, I have a whole bunch of different variant styles. Like I said, over 100 artists. Like being able to pull that out of these artists and all these different styles has been definitely critical. And so I'll be exploring those different styles for sure, man.
For sure. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, bro.
Barry puts in work. See it all the time.
Hey, yeah, check him out. Yeah, man, his work is incredible.
Appreciate y'all.
What's the best place to check you out, Barry?
What's that?
What's the best way to check out your art?
Probably Instagram right now. Loaded_brush.
There you go.
Oh, man, he's vicious.
Check me out. Come talk about some art.
Yep.
Right. We've had great conversations just about just that, man. Super talented dude, man. If you have any more questions, like don't let them stop. Like I want to listen to you all while I'm drawing this thing here. Her ear is too low. Oh, look, I failed. Oh no. Let me cover her ear up. I'm actually gonna put it behind this thing. So Barry, you don't like my.
Oh, I was gonna say one of the things I learned by watching you is that you always start with that kind of thick, translucent brush and just sketch an idea down, and it's rough and it's just a placeholder, and you go in and just you refine it so beautifully, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, what I used to do is I used to kind of give myself too much information in that process, and I felt like I was just tracing my own work. Like as you can see, like right now, I'm just kind of making this up as I go. And I'm not just kind of tracing something that existed. I'm really hating this area right here, though. Like it's not fitting together right. But like these are these challenges that I like to try to figure out as I draw, right? Like this again is problem solving and learning for me. So this kind of adds to that. But thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Serena wants to know: are you on a Wacom or a Cintiq? What are you using?
I'm using a Cintiq 24. Was it Pro? I guess it's like the
widescreen one.
Yeah, the widescreen one. Yeah. So that's what I'm using right now. I used to use tablets. I kind of can't anymore. I love my iPad though. Like iPad kind of does that for me. That's working out well for me. In fact, I think some people just actually do all their work on the iPad. Like they don't use anything else.
I'm so Photoshop ignorant now. Like
you use Procreate?
Is amazing. Procreate all day long. That's all I use.
Yeah, it's a dope program. It's so good, man. And the fact that you can, record your illustrations. You can go back and watch them. The time lapses are beautiful. It's just intuitive. Yeah, I love it too, man. Procreate is awesome.
Jasmine, go ahead and unmute yourself.
If with the Flash course, is it all right to not use Photoshop? For example, I have Clip Studio Paint.
You use whatever you want. Like it's not gonna matter. Like this is gonna traverse. It's gonna not have. It's not gonna hinge on the application you use. You can use paper and pencil if you want.
Yeah, so, I think that's important. Most of our classes aren't software specific. We have like software recommendations and say, hey, you could do that, but you can find, especially in some of the early drawing and painting classes that we have at Brainstorm, like you can use Procreate, you can use Clip Studio, you can use Sketchbook Pro, like whatever it is that's you're currently using. I think the only time that really becomes an issue is if we're working in a 3D software program like Blender or 3D Coat or ZBrush. Like that class is specific to that software. So if it's not like in the title of the class, then typically there's a software workaround. Now, if the instructor is teaching stuff in Photoshop, then it's up for you to like figure out how to do a clipping mask and Procreate or whatnot. So there are some techniques that might be Photoshop specific, especially layer and blending options that are like more advanced painting stuff. But I think for like any drawing, sketching, Flash classes, it's more about the concepts that are being taught rather than the actual software being utilized.
Okay. It does make sense. Cool. And do you have any lazy tips?
Any what? Lazy?
Like for example, like I did a thing yesterday that was so hard, and after I'm like, I just came up with a way I could have done that so much faster.
So you mean just ways to improve your workflow?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like Thomas just said, like I'll sketch everything out real big and chunky and just get the idea out and I go over it. There's so many ways. Like there's a billion of those, right? Like is there any specific? I don't know. I take little things from different people, and I feel stupid sometimes when I come up with these things. I should have thought of. I'll give you one. Like you guys know Anthony Jones, I'm sure. He said something real simple to me during one of his workshops at Inland Empire when Thomas was over there. He was talking about drawing hands or whatever, and he does a thing where if he has a person shooting a gun, like whatever, he'll draw the hand first, and as long as it's in proximity to the body, right, he'll draw the arm, But I would always do it from the shoulder down, right? So like that was something I was like, well, no, that's a lazy thing, but it was more like oh shit, like that's absolutely the best way to do that is to draw where the hand is gonna be, and then figure out how to connect the arm to it, the other way around. Anyway, that's a really difficult question for me to answer because there's a billion of them, that I can't really even put my finger on it. I don't know. What about anyone else here? Like, well, Thomas, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think that's the benefit of like going to workshops or different classes because your goal is not to draw exactly like that person, but your goal is to extrapolate tools or workflow processes that you can use and apply. I've learned things from map painting workshops, from stuff that's photo bashy, that's stuff that can be incorporated into a technique that I do because but it's not necessarily my entire workflow. So I think you'll pick up tips and tricks all along the way and something that'll resonate with you. And if you can walk away from a flash class with 3 or 4 things that you pulled out of there that you can implement into your workflow, then that's a huge success. So it's all about taking those tools and adapting them to you. I mean, you don't want to be Jomaro 2.0. You want to be yourself implementing what you've learned from his process into your own flow.
That's not true. Be me.
Okay, be
just
him,
kidding.
2.0.
Do you have any like favorite techniques as in teaching?
In teaching, you know what? No, I just keep it real. Like I just keep it relative. It's super important to me. Like some people, overthink it or overdo it. I just give it to you as raw as I possibly can without any fluff. Like I'm just gonna keep it as 100 as I can. That is just what I go by. That's it.
All right, and I'm gonna stop the questions for now. Thank you guys for asking and participating. Yeah, no worries. Jomaro, you got 7 minutes. Let's see how we can grind through this thing in 7 minutes.
Don't be like that. So you see, I just realized like this little disc on her head just was sitting wrong to me. So and it's actually like crashing into her ear right here. So I need to think of I'll just kind of just trim it around her ear. So there's a lot of little issues you find, little problems as you go. So I don't know what this shape is, but let's turn it into something. Like it's kind of a cool shape right here. And I'll have to I don't have to put, you know what? No, it's gonna be a little asymmetric here. So it's gonna be part of a shoulder pad maybe. Let's do that. It's kind of a weird shape to, maybe it's the underside of a shoulder pad. Here, let's turn this into this shape. It's kind of a weird shape. I'll go with it though. So Thomas, you can still talk to me, man. Ask me some questions. You can't sit there and be quiet. What are you gonna do with the rest of your Saturday? How about that? Let's keep it real.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with the rest of your Saturday, tomorrow?
I was supposed to go see Doctor Strange today, and tickets were bought, but they were right now, so I had to return the tickets and I'll go see it later. It's okay. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no,
I like watching movies in my house.
I do
really?
too.
I heard it was kind of crazy. Like it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. I do want to see it. I like those popcorn movies a lot. There's like 3 or 4 movies that I'm behind on for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see that everything all at once or whatever. That looks really, really good. I'm a big fan of the A24 movies. I think Amber's talking in my ear on Discord. It's really weirding me out because I keep looking and seeing like who's unmuted, and I hear like somebody talking. And I'm pretty sure it's Amber. Is that you, Amber? All right, Sam. Cool. Like I just hear it here, and I don't hear it through the actual workshop speaker, so it's really weirding me out. But cool.
So
But yeah,
someone told me that was like the best movie they had seen.
I'm a huge fan of,
In
like
their
I said,
life.
A24. I think they do stories that are just not conventional, and I like seeing stuff that's like it's different. It makes me think, and I walk away from it, not having everything figured out. So I hope it's along the lines of that. But I hear that's a good movie, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And just because I'm old school nostalgic and I grew up on it, I think the Top Gun looks appealing to me too.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see that.
I mean, I love jets too, man. I love like my grandfather was in the Air Force, so love jets. So I'm
That's
excited
cool.
to see that just for the airplanes. But yeah,
That's cool.
that's it. So I have a meeting at 3 o'clock. That's it. My exciting meeting. I have a production meeting for Brainstorm at 3 o'clock. We're talking school stuff, and then after that, maybe I'll go to the movies. Who knows?
Nice, man. Nice. Go see Black Panther.
Yeah,
Oh,
again. Let's
for
go.
yeah, I've never. I think that was the last time I'd watched it.
You
Like the
watched
time
it.
we all
You
went
saw that
together.
movie 10 times in the theater. 13 times. How many times?
13 times.
13
13
times.
times.
That's right.
Yeah. 13 times. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You gonna go finish the van though? Gonna fix that cabinet?
That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm working on my little refrigerator cabinet. You kind of need a place to store food when you go. I'm gonna keep I'm gonna keep it OG and tell you the last thing I installed was the toilet in the van.
Mm,
That's
no,
the
you need
thing.
that.
I'm telling
Oh,
you.
100%. And
Yeah.
I imagine you have like the shower that opens up on the door and you shower outside your van somewhere. Is that one of them?
Nah, that's not how I'm doing it, man. I'm doing it different. I'm
How
doing
are
it
you?
different. So right as you walk into my van, I could show it to you, but right as you walk into my van, there's a sliding door. There's going
Uh-huh.
to be a seat there that's about 2 feet high. It's kind of big and square. But you open the lid and the toilet is in there. But it's also a water box. Like so, basically it'll be tiled or like sealed. It has a drain in it, so you can stand in that box and pull a shower curtain out of it, and attach it to the ceiling, and take a shower right where the door is in my van, like right as you come into the van.
Oh
And it
wow.
drains right out the side. Yeah, so it's a seat that converts into the shower. So you kind of utilize all your space.
Yeah, they do that on the boats, man, where they have like the kind of
That's
the
right.
bathroom, the head like right there, and then the
Mhm.
shower is like right above it, and like tile floor to the drainage and stuff.
That's right.
Which is
That's
cool.
right. That's exactly. It's like I said, what I was telling you earlier. So there's a lot of stuff influenced by the
Marine.
by the marine industry. Yeah, like for sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. How much time I got?
Technically 1 minute.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, let's see. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it went by quick, but I mean, you still knocked this out in what, like 10 minutes, maybe tops, because
Oh
we were talking.
no, man.
So,
This is fun. This is
draw.
I miss
Quick.
it. Look, I'm gonna mess around and not do anything but draw for the rest of the day. Thanks a lot,
Yeah, my
man.
bad. Sorry to put you back on that horse. And I
Oh, it's
really
fun.
appreciate you taking the time out today, man. It's really, really good. I'm really looking forward to this flash class and just
Me
connecting with
too.
you, man. I got to get out to Texas and just chill. I'm probably drive out there and go visit some fam. And when I'm out there, I'll stop by for sure. Hopefully, you'll be
Hey,
in
you're always
town.
welcome. I got rooms, man. You got a place to stay if you need it. You says you have
As long
fam
as,
though, so I'm fam.
D isn't burning down the place with the cooking, so
Yeah, man. I'm
he'll
glad that
pick
we
it up.
didn't hear that. I'm hungry now, so I haven't
Yeah,
eaten. Anyway, yeah, it's always fun. It was appreciated. Thanks for having me, man. This has been great. Thanks everyone for coming. Come join the class. We're gonna really get into it. We're gonna explore some different styles, Barry. We're gonna have a great time with this. Yeah.
awesome. So, yeah, everybody have a good one. Barry said, "Tell D what's up." He's in the chat. He said
Um,
said that. So
my man.
gotta get that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So D is she's definitely a part of art is life. It's part of Jomaro life. So
Yeah,
confidant.
that's my homie.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
This too. Please jump on this, guys. Marvel Snap. This is going to be released sometime in the next millennium for us in the United States. Here it's going all over the world first.
You can get in there. You can get in there now. So go to marvelsnap.com. You can sign up for the beta. A lot of people are playing it. People starting to stream it. We're trying to get you in there ASAP. So really excited about this project.
Yeah, see some of what Jamaro's been working on for the last 3-4 years. This thing's been in development. So I'm excited for you guys. And so big successes on this, and I'm sure we'll see the progress more, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in the Flash class. But thank you guys for tuning in to another Open Canvas. We are going to repost this, so if you want to share this with your friends, it should be available within the next day or so. So take care, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we shall see you or talk to you soon. All right,
Peace.
Tomorrow. End it. Peace. I don't know how to end it. I'm going to end it. All right.